It's still stupid hot outside, I know, but August might be the single most important month of the entire year for your fall garden. What you plant right now this week determines whether you're harvesting fresh vegetables all the way into November and December, or whether your garden just quietly dies off once September hits. And today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 crops you are going to seriously regret not planting in August. Stick around to the end because I'll also tell you which specific varieties I'm personally growing and why. Now, just like last time, I live on the coast of North Carolina, but honestly, it doesn't matter where you live. Everybody right now is either in the tail end of summer or heading into it, and August is universally the window where you plant your fall garden. I'm going to break each crop down for both shorter, cooler season growers and longer, hotter season growers like myself, so no matter your zone, you'll know exactly when to get seeds or transplants in the ground. Crop number 1 you need to plant in August is broccoli, along with its cousins, cabbage and cauliflower. These brassicas are honestly some of the best fall crops there are because they actually taste better after they've been kissed by a little cold weather. Heat makes broccoli bitter and makes it bolt way too fast, but cold weather sweetens it right up. The tricky part is broccoli takes a while to get going, so you can't just direct sow it in your garden in August and expect to harvest. You need to start it as a transplant first. Here's how the math works. Broccoli transplants take roughly 4 to 6 weeks indoors before they're ready to go in the ground, and then they need another 2 to 3 months after that to actually form ahead. So if you've got an early frost, say late September or early October, you want to start your broccoli seeds indoors right now, first week of August, so you can get them transplanted out by early to mid-September. If your first frost isn't until late October or November like mine, you've got a little breathing room. You can start those seeds mid to late August and transplant in late September once it's finally cooled off a bit. And don't stress, if a light frost hits your broccoli once it's out there, these plants actually handle cold really well. It's the heat that's the real enemy. Crop number 2, and this one surprises people every single year, is carrots. Most folks think of carrots as a spring crop, but honestly, a fall carrot crop blows a spring one out of the water. Carrots that mature during cooler fall weather end up so much sweeter because the cold actually triggers the plant to convert its starches into sugar. It's basically nature's own little flavor upgrade. Carrots are direct sown, no transplanting nonsense here. You just put the seed straight in the ground, but they're slow. They typically take somewhere between 65 and 80 days depending on the variety. So you want to get them in the soil by early to mid-August if you've got an early frost coming, or you can push it to late August if your frost holds off till November like mine does. One thing that trips people up, carrot seed is tiny and needs consistent moisture to germinate, and August soil dries out fast. So keep that soil damp, maybe cover the row with a board or some light mulch for the first week or so until you see germination, then pull it off. Crop number 3 is beets, and I genuinely think beets are one of the most underrated crops out there because you're basically getting 2 vegetables for the price of 1. You get the root, obviously, but you also get the greens, and beet greens sauteed with a little garlic are honestly incredible. A lot of people just throw them in the compost, which is a crime. Beets are direct sown just like carrots, and they're a lot faster. Most varieties mature in about 50 to 60 days. That gives you a decent amount of flexibility. If you're in a shorter season climate, get them in by mid-August. If you've got a longer fall like I do, you can plant successive rows every couple weeks through August and even into early September and still get a harvest before a hard freeze. Beets are also seriously cold tolerant once they're established. A light frost won't hurt them at all, so don't panic if temperatures dip a little before they're ready to pull. Crop number 4 is your last shot at bush beans for the year. Beans are basically maintenance free. They don't get bothered by pests, no diseases to speak of, and this is your final window to squeeze one more harvest out of them before the season ends. Bush beans, not pole beans, because bush varieties mature way faster, usually somewhere around 50 to 55 days, which matters a lot this late in the year. You need to count backwards from your first frost date. If your frost typically hits in late September, you're honestly cutting it close. Get them in the ground the very first few days of August, or you might not make it. If your frost is more like late October or November, you've got some room. You can plant through the first 2 weeks of August comfortably. Just know that once you start getting into September, days get shorter and growth slows down, even if the temperature is still warm, so plants take a little longer to mature than the seed packet actually tells you. I always just add a few extra days of buffer onto whatever the packet says this time of year. And crop number 5, probably my favorite one to talk about, is kale and other leafy greens like collards and Swiss chard. These are the workhorses of the fall and winter garden. Kale genuinely gets better the colder it gets. I have had kale plants survive temperatures well into the 20s here without a single row cover, and the flavor just keeps improving the whole time. It's one of those things where a light frost isn't just tolerated, it actually improves the eating quality, kind of like the carrots. You can either direct sow kale or start it as a transplant. It's flexible either way. Unlike broccoli, it doesn't demand you go the transplant route. If you're direct sowing, get it in the ground by mid-August so it has time to establish some size before the days get short and growth slows way down. If you want bigger, more mature plants faster, starting transplants indoors in very early August and moving them out a few weeks later will get you there quicker. quicker. Collards work basically the same way. And honestly, in the deep south, collards might outperform kale. They handle heat a little better on the front end while things are still transitioning out of summer. Now look, if you've made it this far and you're actually finding this useful, do me a favor and hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what zone you're in and what you're planning this month. I read every single one, and honestly, with how the algorithm's been shifting towards short form content lately, comments and likes make a real difference in whether channels like mine even get shown to new people anymore. It genuinely helps more than you'd think. One thing I want to hit on that ties all 5 of these together, because I get this question constantly, and that's how to actually deal with the fact that it's still brutally hot when you're supposed to be planting cool season crops. This feels backwards to a lot of people, and I get why. You're out there in 90+ degree heat sowing carrot seed that's supposed to like cool weather. It feels wrong, but the trick is you're not planting for right now, you're planting for 6 to 10 weeks from now when things have cooled off. The seed just needs to get established during the tail end of summer, so it's mature and ready right when the good fall weather actually arrives. If the heat is genuinely a problem for germination, and for some of these, especially lettuce and some brassicas, high heat can actually stop seeds from sprouting at all. Use a shade cloth over your rows for the first couple weeks. I use about a 40 to 50% shade cloth, and it drops the soil temperature just enough to get consistent germination without babying the plants too much. Once you see seedlings coming up and the weather starts easing off later in the month, you can pull the shade cloth and let them get full sun. And on the flip side, once we get into fall and your first frost dates start creeping up, that's when a floating row cover or a simple agricultural fabric becomes your best friend. It won't save you from a hard freeze, but it'll buy you protection against those first few light frosts, which can add several extra weeks onto your harvest window on crops like broccoli or your last round of beans that might not quite be finished yet. So real quick to recap, the 5 crops you need to be getting into your garden this August are broccoli and its brassica cousins started as transplants right now, carrots direct sown for that incredible sweet fall flavor, beets for a 2-for-1 root and greens harvest, one last round of bush beans before the season closes out, and kale along with like other leafy greens that are genuinely going to get better the colder it gets. Get these in the ground this month and you're setting yourself up for a garden that's still producing well into the late fall, instead of one that just quietly shuts down after Labor Day. I'll have links down in the description to all of the specific seed varieties I personally grow for each one of these crops, along with links to the shade cloth and row cover products I use to manage this transition from brutal summer heat into cooler fall weather. Thanks so much for watching. Hit subscribe if you want to see more of these seasonal planning guides, and I will see you in the next one.